We can talk about just about whatever you want to talk about. Like I said, it is a multimedia communications class, so if you've got any fun photography stories that you'd like to tell, that is up to you. I mean,
Well, now it's been a while since I've done a lot of photography. I do have a wedding lined up though in May,
okay.
um, and I told the people, I said, I'm getting old, the cameras are getting old, and we'll do the best we can with what we got. But I'm not going buying new cameras at my age.
No.
So I've done the construction photography for several years, and the building in Glen Alpine was probably the most interesting and took the longest. But I got a call one day. I'd already shot. Construction had just started on it. It was Summitville Tile in Glen Alpine. And I was working for the construction company, shooting pictures for them. And president of Summitville Tile called me. And he said, I want you to go over and shoot pictures twice a week from now till this thing's finished. And me and him had a pretty good discussion, but I told him that you're just now grading. It's going into wintertime. You ain't gonna see a lot of changes from now on. It's, twice a week's way too much. As well, just shoot it whenever you think it needs. Send me the pictures and the bill. Well, I didn't know this guy. I was kind of hesitant about the thing to begin with, and I thought, well, I'll invest some in it and we'll see where it goes. Well, I shot it 2 or 3 times that first month because they did do quite a bit of grading that month. Sent him the invoice along with some pictures, 8 by 10 pictures. And this was before digital. And it wasn't just there till I got checked back. But then I got a phone call from an ad agency in Toledo. He says, I'm going to be doing the thing with the ads for the guy. And he says, I'll be telling you things to do, things I want special. Send me the pictures, send him the bill. I said, this is getting funny now. But I'd done that for about 2 years. And he'd call me and want something special, and I'd try to do whatever he wanted. But I had to shoot everything in transparencies. He wanted 4 by 5 transparencies. He would rather have 8 by 10 transparencies. But I have a 4 by 5 camera, so I shot everything in 4 by 5, except for the aerials. And I shot aerials with 2 1/4. And there was a local company here that would process the transparencies for me. That, like I say, went on. I ended up with several pictures in construction magazines and advertisements. But doing the construction stuff, I was shooting pictures of buildings basically all over western North Carolina. And I'd done most of that on a time material type thing. And I didn't make a lot of money at it, but I got to see a lot of things and got a lot of experience shooting pictures of buildings. But
Let's go back. You said something about aerial photography. I know we've talked about it, but you had a pilot lined up, and you'd hang out the camera or hang out the plane with a film camera, and
that's basically it.
yeah. Well, we just don't have that anymore. Everybody, if they want anything aerial, they just use a drone.
A drone's a better way of doing it, unless it's something great big.
Yeah.
A lot of the bigger professional people would use helicopters to do some of the stuff I was doing with.
Mm.
But, I was hiring a pilot here for $20 an hour, a 172 at $20 an hour. And everything you done around here you could do within an hour. We were shooting the Summitville thing, and the guide called and said he needed aerials that month. And I lined up the plane and the pilot, and we got over there. And of course, you're flying at weird attitudes, at low altitudes and low speeds. Anyway, we were going around, and I was sitting on the right-hand side, and you got to pick the nose of the plane up a little bit to get the wing strut out of the way. So you're basically hanging on the prop as you go around. And as we was going around, I looked down, and reached over to the pilot. I said, "Better watch out. There's some kids down here throwing rocks at us." he said, "They'll be okay." But we done that. We flew out of Silver Creek one time, and it was in a Super Cub. It was a tail dragger that you had to prop to start. Stall speed was 28 miles per hour on it. We had a 35-mile-an-hour wind that day. We shouldn't have been flying. We started down that runway, and when he picked that plane up, we basically stopped. We had plenty of airspeed, but didn't have no ground speed.
Right.
And we just come up like this, and when he tilted that wing, we done a 180 in about 2 seconds. And I was shooting pictures of Chamber of Commerce that time, and we were shooting the towns in Caldwell County.
Okay.
And we got down over Granite Falls. Now, we were shooting a 35 millimeter then. And I had changed film in the camera. And I told the pilot, I says, "Go around one time, let me change film." He turned the thing into the wind, pulled the throttle back, and I bet we didn't move 10 feet. Anyway, I probably shot 72 pictures that day. I used 2 rolls of film. But now when we came back in, still had 35-mile-an-hour headwind with a plane that'll stall at 28 miles an hour. And he comes in and he gets up over the runway now. He's riding front, I'm riding front, he's riding back, because I got to get where I can see out. Now this Cub, it's got a split door. Half the door goes up against the wing. The other half will go down like that. Well, this half I kept up because I didn't want to fall out, but I was strapped in anyway. And you could lift this door up and the wind would keep it up against the wing. Anyway, we came back and he didn't come in for a landing right there. He got down low, got over the runway, and he says, "Lean over just a little bit." He wanted to see his airspeed indicator. He started pulling the throttle back on the thing and we stopped. Now we were 200 feet in the air. He kept pulling it back and we started backing up. Now, if that wind stops, you're going like that in a hurry. But luckily it didn't, and he finally put it on the ground. I always accused him of being a kamikaze, and he was a cousin to the owners of the construction company, so I had to use him because it didn't cost me nothing.
Yep, that'll do it.
So, and the Cub we were flying belonged to one of the guys we worked with, so the plane didn't cost us anything. But the fuel gauge was a rod sticking out of the gas tank.
I've seen those
in front of the windshield. So anyway, that was most of the stuff I shot nowadays is done with a drone.
Yeah.
So,
well, you were talking, of course you were using film because this was what, the 80s, 90s?
Yeah, somewhere in that neighborhood.
So you lived through the transition from film to digital, and you were kind of semi-professional during that time.
Mm-hmm.
Do you face a lot of the same challenges as a photographer trying to shoot on film as you do with the digital camera, or does digital make everything easier? It makes a lot of things easier, because me, I'm a photographer myself, and I've never shot on film before. That was predated me by, a good 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
So I only know digital, and I guess to round everything back, we're going through another shift in the photography industry, going from DSLRs to mirrorless. And the thing I'm seeing right now is people are still buying DSLRs. I just bought a nice DSLR, and a lot of people are saying that companies need to keep making DSLRs just because mirrorless isn't there. So the question is, so challenges, does digital make everything easier? And when people were going through the transition, were there a lot of people that held out shooting film because it was a known, or was it better for a longer time? Or
well, I thought switching to digital. I didn't want to. It's the unknown. The thing about digital, I think it's made people lazy. Um, there's a lot of things you can do with digital that you couldn't do easily with film. And if you're doing your own processing, that gives you another chance to do some things to it. But with digital, to me, everything's simpler.
Is that a good thing? Because like I know I just went from a Canon Rebel to a 5D Mark IV, and the thing I've noticed is I'm fighting the camera less, so I'm able to focus on what I'm shooting and how I'm shooting it, and how to be artistic and better capture things without fighting the camera. So is that a good thing that they're easier, or would you say that, like you said, it really makes everybody lazier?
Well, I might be using the wrong term there. But
Okay, that's
maybe
fine.
it's made me lazier.
Yeah.
The thing about it, shooting with like the 2.25 camera, you had two choices on film. It was either 12 shots or 24 shots. You grab up your digital, I think I've got 1,300 left on what's on my
Yeah, I think I
on
can
that
do
memory
like
card.
2,400 on mine, yeah.
Well, there's probably 200 pictures on it that I haven't deleted yet. You had to think about what you were doing, and then you had to make every shot count. Now, with digital, you might shoot 15 frames of one thing that I would shoot one frame for.
Yeah, I've definitely been overshooting of late because I can.
Yeah,
And I like it because you're guaranteed to get that moment.
yeah.
But
Well, normally on group shots, even with film, I would shoot 2 to 3 frames of it. A group shot, you're not going to get everybody looking the same direction.
No.
Or if you got a kid in there, you're lucky you're going to get the kid in the picture. And
yeah, that's fair.
But some things you have to do multiple shots on. And you'd bracket it sometimes. I done some stuff one time and I didn't have a second chance at it. I bracketed everything. I shot 3 frames of everything. Now, I needed 1 frame of everything that I shot. I had tripled my film cost, tripled my processing cost, but I got what I needed. But like I said, I didn't have 1 chance at it. And it was a rush job. I got it Friday and had to have it Monday. And anyway, I got it delivered. He was happy with the pictures, but didn't like the bill. You do what you have to do.
Okay.
So,
But you held out on film just because it was a known. And I mean, early digital cameras were not that great.
some of your phones have got as good a camera in it as the digital cameras you're buying. They've got as good a quality.
Well, it was good of a sensor.
Okay.
But yeah, well, I mean, that's like, when I went out west in 2024, I didn't even bother taking my camera just because I didn't want to have to lug it around because, the phone this is being filmed on could capture just as good.
Yeah.
I definitely think it's interesting with everything going to mirrorless, how there's a lot of people just dropping DSLRs because, mirrorless is the shiniest thing when I'd say for most people, a used DSLR would probably do way more than what they need. I know I'm finding that like I said, just went to a 5D Mark IV and I can't even get close to reaching the limits of the camera.
With the mirrorless, can you see the screen when you're outside or in bright sunlight?
I think they've got that pretty much fixed. The thing I will admit I'm a little jealous of, but at the same time have my reservations about is it's not a viewfinder anymore. So you're not actually looking through the glass when you're looking through the viewfinder. You've got a little LCD in there, a little screen. But the good thing about it is whatever your camera's exposing at and everything, that is exactly what you're seeing. Mm-hmm. So I know I've had that in the times where I can see perfectly through the viewfinder for what I'm taking, like especially low light, I can see fine, but the sensor can't see it.
Yeah.
So that I think that's both a benefit and a bad thing. And that's like the screen on mine is plenty good. I can see it outside enough to use it.
Well, like I say, my equipment's old. uh, one of those cameras, both those cameras are probably at least 15 years old. How much has technology changed in that length of time?
Excuse me, just the slightest bit, I believe. But what point are we seeing a point of diminishing returns? You know, I mean, you're still happy with what you're using from 15 years ago, and it does everything you need to. Why upgrade?
It's comfortable.
It's exactly, yeah. But you're not disappointed by it.
Right.
It still does everything you need to.
I'm disappointed in me sometimes where I don't get it where I want it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You said something a while ago about I went through the digital change. I know when they went to color from black and white.
Oh wow, yeah, I guess, yeah.
So there's been a lot of changes in my lifetime.
just a couple, just a couple.
Yeah.
Well, you went from shooting with big, large format to actually being able to have handheld film cameras, like really portable film cameras, right? Or is that a little before you?
You're talking about the big view cameras?
Well, I mean, you know, really old film cameras. You know, you got this great big box or whatever. You know, I know that's before your time, but you know, like I'm thinking like Canon F1, Nikon, or is it the Nikon F1, stuff like that. I mean,
yeah, the big cameras, the big bellows and everything, those were still being used up until digital come along, and you can still get, or you used to get digital back for them.
Right. I think people can. I think there's people that still use them. I'd have to look that up.
They were still using the big, large format cameras for advertising type stuff to make fantastic, you know, product shots. And that's how I ended up. Mine, they were updating some stuff, and I ended up with a 4x5. And I've used an 8x10 camera, shot 8x10 negatives.
Wow.
And now those are better to work with. And you got a bellows on that thing, it's probably about that long. So, well, the bellows on mine will go out about that long. But now they're stationary cameras.
Yeah, you can't.
They're not aerial photography cameras.
No. So what were you using when, like, I think you said a 2 1/4 and 35 mil. So that's when you get into the, you know, Nikon F1 or Canon A1, E1. I'm not well versed in film cameras. I apologize, but that's when you start getting into, you know, more modern film cameras that, you know, people still use.
Yeah. Well, I was using the Minolta and on the 35 millimeter, and I had a Mamiya C330. That was a 2 1/4. Shooting 2 1/4 out of an airplane is a little bit tricky. First off, you have to look down through the camera and through twin lens.
Oh, it's top down? Ooh.
So what I would do, I would focus it on basically on infinity on the ground and lock focus.
Right.
And then it has sports viewfinder, you could look through it this way.
Right.
It was more of a guess of what you're getting than, but normally I would shoot it a little bit further away where I had room to center it and crop it.
Right.
And I was doing most of my own processing.
Okay. So then you went from everything being manual focus to autofocus as well.
Mm-hmm. And everything was manual. You had to set the f-stop, you had to set the focus, and it was more to it than just
Point
point and
click,
shoot.
yeah.
You drop a cartridge of film in there and point it and shoot it. That's more than that.
Man. Yeah,
that's the reason I said it made me lazy.
Yeah, I guess it's definitely less involved.
And you know, actually it's probably cheaper shooting digital than it was the other.
Oh yeah, 100%. I don't know what film's going for these days.
Can you even buy film?
No, I think there's enough people. I think Kodak actually still makes, or there was made enough that there's still some that you can buy. Like I said, I'd have to research that. I don't do film. Like I think it's cool, but I kind of view it like record players. Like that's for some people. I like my Spotify. I'm sorry, I'm lazy, as we said. It's convenient.
Well, you know, I think when we moved out here, I still had film in the freezer that I pulled out. And it's probably back here in this film box, in the camera box. But that's where I kept it in the freezer to keep it from deteriorating. And I usually try to pull it out at least 24 hours before I needed it.
Right.
If you run out and had to have another roll, you had to warm it up somehow or another before you opened it, because it would fog up on you, and you wouldn't know it.
No. Ooh. You see, I know I've run into problems in the summertime. Like if I take my camera inside outside, you know the lens and everything will fog up, but you can see that.
Mm-hmm.
Man, if the film fogs up, there's no way you can tell.
I done some stuff for the Hudson Fire Department. I was on the fire department for several years, and my later years in there, all I done was photography for them. Me and News Topic photographer ended up on the same fire one night. He had left his camera in the car, and it was cold. And of course, when he pulled it out and went close to the fire, it fogged up.
Yeah.
Mine I took in the house. When I come out, pulled it out, the camera was warm. So I got pictures. He was later than I was getting pictures. So.
Well, do you happen to remember the name of that advertising company that, okay.
Mm-hmm.
You said the name of the building. I'll go back. I'll see if I can find an old picture from the 80s or 90s of the building and put it in here if I find it, but.
I might find you an ad, but
Okay.
it won't have the ad agency on it.
I'm just trying to see if I can find the picture in general, but. Okay. Well, I think we've got something. I can have something to work with there. And anything you want to add about anything we've said?
No, just enjoy it.
Okay. It's good advice.
If you're working doing something you enjoy, it's not work.
That's exactly right.
So.
All right. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Sure.